Yesterday, AutoTempest graciously sent us on a joyride in a private jet, only to steal our dream cars while we weren't looking.
AutoTempest is doing a wonderful job combining all the listings for my first car, an old diesel, into one search, but I'm scrolling through, it's all parts cars are double or triple what they gave us money-wise to buy our first cars. This is so frustrating.
They then gave us $3,000 apiece and told us to find an exact match to the first cars we ever purchased. Obviously, this was much easier said than done.
Dude, check this out.
Yeah.
$6 grand. This was a $500 car
Yesterday.
6 months ago. Yesterday, yes.
That is insane.
I have the same problem here. Too expensive.
Yes.
Too expensive.
Oh, here's one for $1,000.
Oh.
Does need transmission computer before it's drivable.
Runs good, needs engine. Yeah.
All right, now we're getting somewhere. 188,500 miles for $7,900. Offer him $3 grand. Meet right smack dab in the middle. $3 grand cash out the door.
Is that how it works?
That's how it works.
Is that what middle means to you?
The middle is whatever my original offer was. Do it right now.
I really don't have any option other than this one, honestly.
Good luck. Oh, my legs are asleep. Oh my gosh.
I could just call from here.
That night, we bought what were the best first car examples we could find. And then we met the next morning to play a little show and tell.
Hello! So, AutoTempest challenged us actually just 1 second. There we go. AutoTempest stole our dream cars from us, my SLS AMG included, and gave us $3,000 each to buy our first car. This was the first car that I bought with my own money. It's a 1983 Mercedes 300 TD turbo diesel. These things are tanks, they are invincible. This car has 280,000 miles on it, which is nothing. The record holder, a former taxi cab that is now in the Mercedes-Benz Museum in Germany, 2.8 million miles. Now, when I was a kid and bought this car, 20 years old, it was a cheap used car, but now they are major collector's items and really hard to find. And that is not a collector's item that is coming. Ooh. Wow. Ugh. Wow, it has been a minute since I've seen one of these that works.
Me too, but look at you. You're telling me that the previous owner of that car has the internet?
He was an old German man, yes. The type of person you would want to buy this car from.
That's a stodgy spec Aryan family truckster that you've found. Much worse than this. Look at my S4.
A B5 S4.
Yes.
2.7 liter turbo.
Yes.
That blows up left and right.
Yes.
These are about the most unreliable German cars ever made. Everything breaks, everything.
Yeah, we are the bookends of German reliability in that regard. And of course, as most of them are, this one is modified to Stage 2 Plus.
Stage 2.
Plus, meaning that we've done everything we could that we could just stick onto the car without getting to the turbos. And it means that it's probably not long for this world.
Yeah, that makes everything worse. So how many miles on this car?
Well, normally to fit into our budget or to get anywhere close, you'd have to have an automatic one. I didn't want an automatic one. I found a stick, but the trade-off was 231,000 miles.
Holy crap.
Yes, yes.
That may be the highest mileage B5 S4 in existence right here.
Totally. I couldn't stand the idea of owning the one that I had past 100,000 miles because there's so many time bomb issues, but you've obviously gone back to your origins of grandpa cars. So what type of Maxima do you think we'll see Freddy in whenever he arrives?
Yes, his origin story is filled with turds. And speaking of the sound of turds.
There we go. Oh, it's Vince from Fast and Furious.
Yes, back in 1999.
We didn't order a pizza.
Oh dear.
Ah? Look at it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So this is a 1998, don't stop. It's a 1998 Nissan Maxima SE, and this is a 5-speed manual, super rare. Stop, no. Did you really have to do that?
It's a manual transmission, but it's front-wheel drive, so it doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter because the Maxima was actually a 4DSC. I don't know if you guys know what that means. It means four-door sports car. And this is a lightweight version. The SE weighed 2,900 pounds. Look how light it is. Yeah, mine has some modifications, a lot of modifications.
Tires.
It has great wheels and tires from a 370Z. It has an exhaust that is
Awful.
very...
It sounds terrible.
Tasteful.
It's awful.
It's loud and proud. And my first car was actually how I learned how to work on cars to begin with. I basically wrote the book on how to modify these cars. The manual swap, the 3.5 swap, none of that stuff was done on this car. Maybe he didn't read my stuff, but it kind of sort of looks like what I had when I was 18.
It's kind of the same for me, actually, because I have almost 6,000 posts on a Mercedes diesel forum page doing things on this car, and it's actually how I met the car wizard. He had bought a Mercedes diesel, introduced himself on there, realized he lived not too far from me, and we met because of Mercedes diesels.
Tyler, this does 0 to 60 in what, like 2 weekends?
Never.
Well, yeah, 10, 11, 12 seconds or so. Yeah, something like
You
that.
got an S4?
I did. Since it's also a resident of Central Florida, guess what it has? Meth injection.
Meth, okay. It wouldn't be Ed Bullion without
So
a
appropriate.
methamphetamine
Also,
joke.
130,000 miles, 230.
That can't be the original engine.
It seems to be. I will say, however, that it was no more attached to the ground than the dwelling behind it when I went to pick it up.
So the fender gap here is pretty atrocious. I mean,
Within spec.
Freddie, forget about all that. Look,
Oh.
you see that? There's hundreds of them. Ants, bugs.
All over. And
wow.
spiders, lots of them.
So it's a bug-infested 230,000 mile, heavily modified S4.
It's way faster than mine was.
How much did you pay for it?
Well, so AutoTempest gave us each $3,000 to buy a duplicate of our first car, and I couldn't find one for that, so I got this one for $4,000, which I think is a great value.
Okay, so you cheated.
Well, it's $4,000. He's gonna drive this thing 10 miles and it'll be worthless when the thing blows up.
Absolutely.
Glorious miles. But if we're talking about cheating, you're telling me that this long-roofed German wagon sought out by all the grandfathers on earth was
Yeah.
just $3,000?
No, it absolutely wasn't. These things are coveted by so many people now.
Really?
That, yeah.
That's right.
This was the best one that I could find even close to the budget, and it was still $5,000.
You had to spend $2,000
Yes.
to get this.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, beige on beige on beige on beige.
Yes.
Well, I feel good in my purchase because I only spent $500 more than our budget.
So we all cheated.
Cheaters!
So finding anything cool right now is nigh on impossible.
Yeah, the car market has just totally changed in the last year. These were all attainable a year ago within that budget, but like collector cars, everything has gone up.
hold
It's
on.
made finding anything cool.
I got a text
So hard.
message.
$500 6
Oh,
months
a
ago.
text from AutoTempest.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Today you have wizards, Jareds, connections, and sponsors to help fix your cars when they break. But when you were younger, we know that was not the case. Tomorrow, you will depart on a 500-mile road trip in these cars that you've owned for less than an hour. You have the evening to prepare them for the trip, and as you do it, you should document your experiences in the style of an iconic YouTuber, someone other than the three of you.
Oh, I was going to do you again.
No, do not
one-
ever
no.
do me again.
Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube. And behind me is my 1986 Rolls-Royce Silver Spur. And this,
Thank goodness we're not doing that.
No, the internet
So
does
my
not need
shop
that.
is like 5 minutes away from here. We can get all of this done. I wrote the book on this. Dude, this is going to be amazing. You're going to blow up in the first 10 miles. I can't wait.
It's going to be awesome.
Go. Go. And it's all coming back to me now. It has been many years since I've driven one of these old Mercedes diesels, and well, I definitely remember how slow they are. This one's the turbo diesel, inline 5-cylinder, about 120 horsepower new, which was pretty good in comparison to the non-turbo ones that are just dangerously slow. At least this one can keep up with modern traffic. It can go highway speeds. It can go 100 plus, no problem. It just takes a little bit longer to get there. You have to be patient. And I learned that when I bought my very first Mercedes diesel back in 2007. I actually found it on the internet, flew cross country to pick it up, drove it back, and Like this, it had a vacuum leak to where the engine wouldn't shut off. All the stuff's controlled by vacuum in this car. Transmission shifts, the air conditioning, which actually works in this car, and the engine shut off. It's really weird. Even the door locks work by vacuum, which those don't work. So when it all gets wonky, things get weird. Believe it or not, I actually used to be a pretty good mechanic on these things. I know them very well. I've wrenched on them many times in the past. The myth of reliability on these things is kind of true. They can last for a really long time, and they will go down the road broken like this pretty much forever. But it's the little things that can really get you. And, well, quite a few things are broken on this car, despite the previous owner being an old German man that spent a lot of money maintaining it. The radio doesn't work. My tachometer, it comes and goes. And the front suspension, it does feel, well, pretty worn out. But despite all of that, I could drive this car cross country right now like I've done with Mercedes diesel so many times in the past, multiple times, and really not have to worry about it. You definitely can't say the same thing for Ed's car, for sure. I can't believe it's lasted this long.
Man, this thing feels great. This brings back all the memories of being 18, 19 years old. And even though it wasn't my dream car, this was the perfect way to treat yourself and to live out that dream of what looking like an auto enthusiast might be like. This is a 2000 Audi S4 with a 2.7-liter twin-turbo V6, and they were a very, very modifiable platform, but they were also catastrophically unreliable. You see all of them with chips and downpipes and exhaust and intakes, but they rarely have the turbos replaced until they blow up. And it's amazing that the factory turbos have made it 231,000 miles, but it is about as much fun as you could have for the money back then, and certainly for the money right now. I mean, at $4,000, I don't see how you could do any better. And even though I lived in the constant fear of a service bill I could never pay when I owned one of these cars, the first drive that I really took it on that was of any distance was all the way from New York to Los Angeles. It was on an event called the AKA Rally, which was kind of like a discount version of the Gumball 3000. So me and one of my AAU teammates from high school drove all the way across the country. Kind of my first pseudo cannonball, which I learned very quickly. These rallies are not like cannonballs at all, but we had a ton of fun. And I have to say, it still brings back all of those amazing memories. The car is plenty quick out of the box, 250 horsepower, but it was very easy to mod them up into the mid-3s, and I would guess this one probably makes about 350 horsepower. If you changed the turbos, you were doing a little over 400, which meant that it could keep up with like an E39 M5 or an E46 M3. Regardless, the car handles very nicely. The all-wheel drive system's really good. The 6-speed manual gearbox is a whole lot of fun. Goodness, the ants. Get off my shifter. All right. There are ants everywhere in this car. I've got to find some spray somewhere to make this thing livable. But regardless, the check engine light that was on when I bought this car has somehow found a way to go away, and it seems to be shifting nicely. The all-wheel drive system's not binding up. It's rubbing a little bit on the fenders and over any kind of bump. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to get us home. Now, I will say that the air conditioning in this car does not work. That's not a new thing for us here at Car Trek, and I certainly am not sweating quite as badly as sitting in the middle of the McLaren F1, but it is awfully hot in here, and I am sweltering. But that being said, once I'm not talking to you guys, I'll roll down the windows and I will survive just fine. The axles had clearly been redone recently. There's a lot of the modifications that are very, very clean. But at the moment, there's no error lights on. The car's driving just about perfectly. I don't know that we have much to worry about, regardless of where AutoTempest sends us, which I would not say about Freddy and that Maxima.
Oh, this takes me back. This is, for all intents and purposes, my first car. I had a 1998 white on tan Nissan Maxima. Before I bought a Maxima, I had no idea how anything worked on any car. I really was clueless. Now the jury's out on whether I'm still clueless, but I think I learned a lot by wrenching on cars exactly like this one. My first engine swap, my first manual conversion was all on a Maxima, and it's all coming back to me now. The feel, the sound, and the speed, or lack thereof. It has an amazing throttle response from that 3-liter V6. This engine was on the top 10 list of many publications for the better part of a decade. In this form, it made 190 horsepower with 205 foot-pounds of torque. It did 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds, and the car only weighed 2,900 pounds, which is supercar light by today's standards. And it looked really good. I think the looks of this car are just timeless. Well, maybe not timeless. I'm not gonna compare it to my Aston Martin, but this thing definitely looked very elegant and very stately. Nothing like Ed's S4, and certainly nothing like the 300D. That thing looks like it was made in the Stone Age. But since we had to buy these things on a budget and in no time at all, I did find an example that was a little bit modified, but let's just say it wasn't modified in the right way, because these big wheels, they're probably bent, and they are creating a heck of a vibration. I mean, I am all over the road here. Also, the steering rack bushings, the control arm bushings, and every other bushing in the suspension is completely shot, to the point where I can do this, and I'm staying straight. There's like no movement of the car. I have a lot of steering wheel play. It also has an aftermarket exhaust that sounds, well, it sounds bad. It's just raspy and noisy and very, very nasty. And I'm not gonna say that my original car didn't sound like this, but let's just say I didn't really know what a good car sounded like back then. Oh, that suspension too. He fitted it with an aftermarket suspension that just makes this crash over bumps. But I'll tell you what, the values for these cars, as well as the values for anything else cool, have shot up over the last year because, well, you can't find these things anymore. It used to be that you can find these cars all day long for $500 to $1,000. But now, I was really lucky to find this one for $3,500. And honestly, it needs a lot of work. But I saw worse examples for more money, so this is sort of a deal. I do like that finally on one of these car trek trips, I have a car, a cheap car, that has working AC. And that'll be very, very useful when it comes to driving through Florida. It's like 1 billion degrees outside.
As a seasoned veteran of doing impressions of other YouTubers, whether they like it or not, I decided that I would go first and pay homage to one of the most recognizable automotive channels of all time.
This is my why did I say my? It's not too high. This is a 1998 Nissan Maxima SE. And it's not just any Nissan Maxima SE, it is my Nissan Maxima SE. And today, I'm going to review it. So I got this Nissan Maxima for myself for $3,500. And from where I'm standing, it really does look like a lot of car. It really does look like, and from where I'm standing, it looks like the best okay, we could do this, I swear. So first up is the interior. Now in any other car, you'd have a cloth seat, but in a Nissan Maxima, my mouth is like, bleh. Good thing a water bottle here. Oh, that's a continuity error. In any other car, you'd have a cloth seat. In a Nissan Maxima, your seats are made of leather. And it's not just any leather, it's perforated leather for more airflow, which is what the previous owner told me. So next up is the Bose Premium Audio System. This sounds amazing. Just listen to it. So stupid. This is so. So next up is this exhaust. Your car has an exhaust that's this big. The Maxima has an exhaust that's this big. And it sounds awesome. Holy sh!
Hello and welcome to Ed Explains Engineering, Economics, and everything else you could ever want to know about a 2000 B5 Audi S4. I'm going to tell you about the life cycle of that car from brand new to this, which is very far from new, but still exactly what you'll need for a road trip. So, in the year 2000, there were buyers for S4s, like very professional people. They might have suits on, and they would have made a lot of money, and they would have been very, very happy. Then, the M3, the E55, and many other amazing cars came out that were much faster, much better values, and even depreciated less than this car, despite depreciating catastrophically in their own right. And so, after the 3-year leases were up, no one kept the cars. And then they went to second owners, who were responsible people, who saved money from depreciation. And they read Dave Ramsey books, and they felt really happy about themselves. So the first time they went in for service, they met a service advisor, and they were told, you should never keep this car. And so they sold it for sale. And that's when I bought it. You've got two things that you have to worry about a lot. The first is the turbochargers. They have little fans in here, and they go and they explode. However, the best thing that you can do for something that might fail is add stress. And that's exactly what everyone chose to do. They took new exhaust systems, and they added bigger intakes, and they put ECU tunes on them. And you might, especially if you lived in Central Florida, add meth injection. So you would take the meth and then you would shoot it into the intake to cool down the air. So you're already going to be leaking a ton of oil. You're already going to be making your turbos very, very mad. Also, if you live around here, you're obviously going to park it outside where the rust comes in, and more importantly, you probably live next to some things that look like that. And guess what lives in those? Ants. So you have all of these ants that are going to come out of these holes and look for a place where there's water, because obviously all your weather stripping is failing, and they're just going to crawl right in. Anywhere they can get, and in every place they could hide, and be very, very challenging to kill. So the first thing that we've got to do before we do anything else to get this car ready for its road trip is kill them all. Mine's not as funny. We're going to open it up and just start spraying. This is suitable for home use. Oh my goodness, guys, get out.
Hey guys, ChrisFix here, and today I'm going to show you how to prepare your car for a road trip. I'm also going to change the fuel filters, a very common repair on this 1983 Mercedes 300 TD. So, first, we're going to check the oil right here. This is the dipstick. It lets you dip into the engine. When you pull the dipstick out, you'll find oil on it, but this isn't how you check the level. You have to wipe it off with a paper towel and then put it back in. As you can see, this one is just over full, close enough to where we will not need to add oil for our road trip. Another thing you can check with your dipstick is your battery to make sure it is charged and working. It's very easy. You take the far end, connect it to the negative terminal, the other end to the positive terminal, and you look for sparks just like that. You'll know that your battery is good and not... Another important item to check before a road trip is that all of your lights are working and your wipers. To do that, you go in, you turn on your flashers, and then walk around the car. we have lights here, we have lights there, we have lights here, and we have lights there. Perfect. But the wipers are an issue because they are not working on this car. As you can see, they are stuck up. But I have an old trick that I learned from my dad on how to fix these, and it's using this. You stupid piece of crap, why don't you work? Work! God! Well, that didn't work, so we'll move on now to the next piece of maintenance I'm going to do on this Mercedes diesel, and that is the fuel filters. This car has two fuel filters, a primary one down here and a secondary one up here, this big canister. So we're gonna take them off, put on two new filters, and then we are ready for our road trip. All right, let's get this guy off down here. It looks very dirty, very old. All you have to do is loosen this clamp and pull off one side, and there comes the diesel. All right, the primary fuel filter is off. It looks a little bit like a crack pipe from Freddy's neighbors. Let's move on to the secondary. Very easy, just loosen this and the canister should spin right off. Spin right off. Spin right off. Spin right off. Okay. Okay, with our fuel filters off, we can head to the auto parts store and get some new filters. Let's go. Hey guys, I just got back from the auto parts store and they don't stock anything for 80s Mercedes anymore, so we're just gonna put the old ones back on.
Where's the tool? God, no, don't spill there.
There's my bolt, there's my filter, very easy to put back on. Just put here on the bottom, line it up, and like, God, no! There.
All right. Come on, you piece of crap. The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. Get on there. Get on there. If you don't do this, then I'll hold right now.
Final tightening here, and we are back in business with the secondary fuel filter. Now, let's move on to the primary fuel filter. We'll put this back on. Two holes down here. Yeah, go back in your hole. There you go. Yeah. All right, I'm tearing up my glove here. All right.
I forgot the clamp. Get off.
All right, reconnecting onto the fuel filter.
Ow! Damn it! Get on there! Get on there right now! All right.
It's on. We're gonna tighten it, and the fuel filter.
I was gonna make it tight and okay. Tighten. Go. Yes. Yes. Tighten. Yes.
Okay. Glove is caught in the thing. The primary fuel filter is back on. Holy crap. Now that the fuel filters are back in, a great thing about Mercedes is it allows you to manually prime the fuel. So you can pump it up here using this pump. You pump, and you do it harder, you do it faster.
Come on.
When you start to feel a little resistance in the pump, that means there's fuel in there, it is primed and ready to go. So this diesel is ready for its road trip. Now it's time to hear that diesel purr after a job well done.
Come back. Come back to me. Oh. Come on. Oh.
Yes! Yes!
Holy crap, ChrisFixing is hard.
We figured that we had embarrassed ourselves enough for AutoTempest amusement, so we departed on our 500-mile journey to their yet-to-be-revealed destination. And I had a feeling I knew exactly where we were headed. Well, they took us to your shop, Freddy, and now they've sent us a location a good bit north of my house, but it looks to be close to Atlanta Motorsports Park, so hopefully that's our destination. This thing is bred for the track.
Are your aunts going to be on board?
The aunts and I have reached an understanding. I gave them a potato chip. I told Jerry that the boys could eat on that for a little while, and they're leaving me alone. I haven't been bitten in the last 12 minutes. Jerry's their leader. They listen to Jerry. Why does it have holes drilled in the front left fender but not the front right?
I'm guessing it was for a flag holder that is now gone. That is not factory.
There's something about a German car with a flag holder in it that just makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Freddie, I didn't realize how close you lived to the villages.
STD capital of America, boy.
We call it bingo night, but we don't play bingo.
That would be Tyler and his Cadillac.
Everyone just puts their keys in the bowl and whatever happens, happens.
But they took all our keys away, so we use our dentures. This is gonna be a fun trip.
Ed, we just got these cars. How do you have
A Georgia license plate that says Car Trek on it.
Funny you should ask. In fact,
The good Lord saw it fit to crash the Georgia emission system computers this week, so I could register this car
online and put a license plate on it without passing the OBD2 emissions, which is required now.
This is not me, this is Tyler. He's using his diesel's torque to go with both.
It pushes pretty well, doesn't it?
All right, I'm in neutral, Tyler. How hard can you push us all?
Tyler, I like my car.
That body kit will not hold.
Those self-tapping screws are not built for these kind of low-speed impacts.
After our little physics experiment, we hit the main highway that we would be on for several hours. So I decided it was time to take my own detour down memory lane. Man, this brings back so many good memories. How about you guys?
When I sit in this car, I just think of freedom. This was a time in my life where I could just drop everything and go anywhere I wanted. Just because.
Did any of you have any money when you had these cars? Because I remember being so broke that I had to
Go to the junkyard to get a brake pad, and they felt so bad for me that they just gave it to me for free. That's how bad my brakes were,
and I couldn't fix them.
Oh yes, I lived in the
Cheapest apartment in the cheapest part of Atlanta. It was not the place to park anything nice. One of my roommate's cars got stolen repeatedly, and anything we left outside, we had to go to the pawn shop around the corner to buy back.
What were you guys blasting in your cars when you had them?
Bombs Over Baghdad by Outkast.
I'm Future Sex Love Sounds with Justin Timberlake.
I was really into
To Metallica and in high school. You guys not metalheads?
What part of anything about me would make you think that's true?
Actually, you look like the lead singer of Smash Mouth.
in your old photos. I would rock.
Rammstein every once in a while. Some Firefly. Bang, bang. Du hast.
You guys have any romantic memories inside your first cars?
Yes.
Actually, that's one of the reasons why I got the car in the first place, because it had the leather interior.
And I thought that it would be impressive to the women folk.
And it was not.
Not because it doesn't stain when you're alone in your car doing
Something.
It's true.
What about you?
Well, when I first started driving this car, I was at Georgia Tech, and they don't really have girls there, and so it wasn't really a pertinent issue.
Was that before women were allowed to learn?
That's right. No reading, no voting, no going to Georgia Tech.
Oh. Got a piece coming off my car. Okay.
Tyler, is your door open?
No, that's a piece of trim that keeps coming off.
No, I think your driver's door is actually open.
Oh.
You got it.
Now that's a lot quieter.
There was something broken in that, man.
I'm having a little issue. This is my top speed currently. My foot is to the floor. It's struggling to do the speed limit.
62 miles per hour is all you got?
Yeah, and these cars are slow, but they're not that slow.
There's definitely an issue, and I think I caused it.
What I think I did is my primer pump that primes the fuel filters probably broke its seal because I played with it, and now it's letting air into the fuel system.
Luckily, there is a roadside fix for this. It takes some unorthodox methods, though.
What do you need?
Well, let's find a gas station and I'll show you. Hello.
Hello.
I need a very durable condom and zip ties.
A very durable model.
Yes. It's in this aisle? Zip ties? Okay. What's that?
No, we don't need a bag.
No, she's saying they're magnums. Ed.
Oh.
No. I wish.
After successfully creeping out the clerks of this family-friendly small-town convenience store,
All right, let's get her shut down.
Tyler took his Mercedes down the street to perform his inspired roadside fix.
So if y'all will recall my ChrisFix thing earlier, I used the primer pump right here. Sometimes the seal breaks when you play with them, and the emergency roadside fix is, well, this. Wait, why did I do that? Sorry. So we slide it over around the primer pump. It should be, yeah, you can hear the fuel just squirting out of it. So it's definitely not airtight anymore. But that still won't seal, and that's why you need a zip tie. This engine's a little hot. Around the fuel filter. Nice and tight, and it's sealed. Condoms are very durable when it comes to heat and friction. Like an engine bay, should have a good seal on that broken primer pump. Get me back on the road. It's worked in the past. Hopefully it does now. Oh yeah, there we go. The condom is sealing. It is definitely 99.7% effective in restoring my fuel system. Yes, I have speed. Well, sort of, but more speed.
You boys fancy a race?
3, 2, 1, go.
Ah!
Well, that was 90. It just took forever to get to 90.
You guys going up there, I'm gonna hang back for a second and then see what this thing will do. If you see anyone I should be worried about, you let me know.
Yeah, let's break your car. Let's just do that right now. Get it out of the way. Whee!
80, 90, 100, wind noise, 110, 120, 130, 140.
That was up to and including the speed limit.
Yeah, mine would only do 152. This one, I didn't get quite there, but it was definitely pulling a whole lot harder. This thing is fast. So would you guys say these cars would be good options for people to have as first cars today?
Absolutely.
Yes, if you want to learn how to work on cars, because they are so simple. Otherwise, no.
So Tyler, I have a hard time telling your current Mercedes and the one you were driving a couple of days ago apart.
So help me understand the differences between the 300T and an SLS.
Well, this is a wagon. It's a diesel. It's the same color as a hearing aid. And the doors don't go up.
I would have to say that a B5 S4 is not a great first car. I've had several people email me over the years asking about that, and while they are about as much fun as you could possibly have for the money,
I don't think that you would avoid that constant fear of something catastrophic happening.
you know, I think I'll probably have my fun, and I don't know that it'll be a terribly unreasonable price on AutoTempest when I'm done with it.
If I end up buying your car, it's going to be the best $500 I've ever spent.
I hope your credit's good enough to finance the balance. It's not. It's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible credit.
As delightful as a trip to Florida always is, we were all quite relieved once we passed the Georgia sign. Aside from a few minor quirks, our cheap first cars were doing something rather surprising. They were working.
A wasp just came out of the cowl at the top of my dash.
My tachometer went out again. Let's see if the horn honk thing works. It's amazing how that it works. That's hilarious.
However, no sooner had we hit our stride than we found the infamous Atlanta rush hour traffic. There was little chance we'd make our North Georgia destination before nightfall, so I invited the boys back to my place to rest up for whatever AutoTempest might have in store for the next day.
That is so loud.
Yes, how was that?
There's so much that I put up with when I was 18. Now that I'm 34 and more distinguished, I really can't have a car
I can't
like
imagine
that.
15 years ago, I drove one of these cross country over and over and over again. They are so slow. They are so uncomfortable. They are so smelly and loud and tractory.
Well, apart from being invisible to most truckers, this thing did great.
Oh.
And it didn't explode a bit.
All right.
It's a miracle.
It is.
An absolute
it is.
miracle.
But we didn't make it all the way to AutoTempest destination
I'm
tonight,
tired.
but we can do that easily in the morning. So let's bed down here. And why don't you guys come in and tell a few VinWiki car stories?
You trying to monetize us staying in his house?
Hey,
suppose.
win in Rome. Come on.
We are princesses now. We're used to the finer things in life, I suppose.
It's so loud.
Ed, can you tell a story about how you made $20,000 off of Tyler?
I thought it was 40.
40?
Yes.
On the Mercy? Are you... You're kidding, right?
Whoa! Okay. Oh, whoa, Tyler. Holy cow.
Tyler's just all over the track.
Oh.
Victory! In your face, cop!
So in this episode, episode, we got spitting images of our first cars, and honestly, I think we all want AutoTempest to give our dream cars back.
Yes, they're the greatest way to find a used car, as they combine all the major listing sites into one search. I search there all the time, every day, and you doing that makes Car Trek possible.
And did you know that you can also follow AutoTempest on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and all the social media sites? Keep informed about everything that AutoTempest is doing, new developments with the site, and also what we're up to next.
Yes, click on all those things, all of them, now.
AutoTempest, all the cars, one search.
Now.
Click the link.